Hi there. I am so tired. We'll get to reviewing the movie in a second. This is going to be one of those where in the comments someone's like, they start the review at this point. 15 minutes in.
Right.
I have been awake. It's 12:05 now, Friday morning.
Early morning, yeah.
I've been awake since Wednesday morning. I caught a Thursday morning train back to Springfield from Detroit, and we went through some snow. Like, I was supposed to get into Chicago at probably about 10, 11 in the morning, and then catch a 1:45 train to from Chicago to Springfield. But halfway through, from Detroit to Springfield, or from Detroit to Chicago, the plow in front of the engine broke.
Wait, you were riding the fucking Snowpiercer?
Apparently!
Fucking A,
like,
man.
I was like,
fucking Snowpiercer.
It's news to me that this has a plow in front of it, and apparently it is broken. So, we're trapped, like, in what looks like we're in the nuclear holocaust, because we did pass by a nuclear plant at one point.
Yeah, that line would.
Yeah, like, so I'm like, what's great? I'm in fucking Chernobyl Diaries, and I'm really tired. So we're stuck for like about 3 hours, three or so hours or something like that. So I had to give Amtrak a call and be like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make that 145. Can you put me on the next one? And I was praying to God. I was like, I hope it is not sold out. I hope that I don't have to wait until like late tonight or tomorrow morning. Luckily, I didn't have to. Like, I got on the 5:15, and I got into Chicago at about 2:30, so I just killed some time at Potbelly for a couple of hours. And, I hopped the 5:15, got into Springfield at 9, instantly, went from I got an Uber and went from the trains to the Amtrak in Springfield to the movie theater. I still have my backpack of clothes and shit with me.
So we're actually we're gonna render the video right after this.
Oh yeah,
It's immediate
I
turnover.
got my laptop here. If I had to feel like taking a nap, which I do, I got my sweatpants and shit. I got everything. I got headphones. I got my flannel.
Coming prepared.
They know us at this movie theater, so they don't give a shit that I'm walking in.
Like, whatever.
I live here now.
This is my home.
God, I was so hoping I would at least be able to like sleep for a couple of hours, like if I had gotten here earlier, or
right.
I closed my eyes a little bit on the train, but never really fully fell asleep. Man. So, but luckily, I mean, we were going to see something that I did really want to see, so that was good. And I know I could have been like, yeah, man, I've been up for like over a day. We could see this weekend, but I was talking about it on Twitter, and I was like, I have the easiest job in the world. Like, I can still go see a movie. I think like only one of these was I ever like, I'm too sick. You guys should probably handle this, and I was running like 110-degree fever. So okay, what did we say? Oh, we saw Triple Nine. I'm going to be really foggy during this review. We saw Triple Nine. Oddly enough, there was a guy in the theater who fell asleep.
That was great. That was full on snoring and everything. Like, this is not a movie that I would have thought you would have fallen asleep to.
No, I've been awake since Wednesday, and I was about to say, like, this movie works in a way that I'm tired as fuck. I really do need to sleep, but I stayed awake through it.
Yeah.
Some other fucking guy had fell asleep in the goddamn thing. I've been awake since the fucking middle of the week, literally. And this fucking guy behind us is dead.
Just sawing logs.
Yeah. He was. Did you see him when the movie was over?
He was kind of dazed.
Yeah, he was. I think his girlfriend was asleep on his shoulder. It was pretty funny. He just up and started snoring.
Oh, yeah.
I almost leaned over to you and went like, well, I guess Brian made it. He's been known to fall asleep in some of these.
Oh, my God.
But this is, I think the word gritty will come up a lot in this review, probably.
Maybe. It might, yeah. This is... know what this kind of reminded me of? A little bit? Heat.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, not the same plot, but just the overall vibe. Add in, like, the dirty cops, and then the other cop isn't exactly the greatest, and...
It reminded me of a couple of different things. One, like, that collection of movies you can take and make them, like, an unofficial, like, anthology of Grand Theft Auto movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The opening scene itself is, like, if you cross Grand Theft Auto with, like, the opening heist scene from Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And it kind of exists, like it's from that era of, like, movies that came out, like, on the heels of, like, Reservoir Dogs or Killing Zoe, but, like, a good not in a bad way like fucking Savages was, but in, like, yeah, I could have seen myself enjoying this, but, like, it's cool seeing something like this now, because there really aren't that many, as mainstream as this movie is, you don't get a lot of really gritty ass fucking movies like this, really. Where they're fucking sweating up a storm, they got scars all over their face, people are getting shot in the head, everyone's got a 5 o'clock shadow, they're fucking smoking, drinking left and right. I mean, it's the kind of movie where 20, 30 years ago, you could probably see something like this about every other weekend in the theater.
Oh, more than likely, yeah.
Oh, well, Friday, 999 comes out. Next weekend, we got The Last Boy Scout. And we go home, rent a copy of Black Rain, and chill out for a while.
Oh, shit, Black Rain. Nice.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Black Rain.
Oh, Michael Douglas.
And now, like, if I had seen this back then, I'd be like, yeah, this is alright. It's an alright way to fill a couple of hours.
Right.
And it's pretty much how I feel about the movie. But now it is kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'm cool with, like, supporting a movie like this, because it's been a while since I've seen a really good gritty-ass cop movie in the theaters. Probably since, like, Safe.
Although it has been 12 hours since I've seen Kate Winslet do a terrible accent.
She was Madonna-ing the shit out of this.
Oh, fuck. Well, I guess she wasn't terrible at jobs, but shit, that fucking accent in that movie.
She was having fun.
Well, it seemed like she was, like, slipping in and out, like, I'm gonna try and be American, but this one, she's just, yeah.
Sometimes she's American, sometimes she's Russian.
Right.
And every single time it feels like exactly like Madonna would play this part, and that's kind of amazing.
Oh shit.
The movie kind of it's not a very focused film.
No, it's kind of all over the place.
It honestly
is. Not much. They don't go into a whole lot of background. You kind of get stuff in bits and pieces, like, oh, okay, well, that's cool.
You did not miss anything showing up a few minutes late. The only thing you missed was just them sitting in the car being like, all right, let's do this. And Kate Winslet and a couple people in a trunk, and her throwing teeth in the trunk. I don't really know what that was about. I
saw those guys because they threw them into that meat truck.
Yeah, you saw the aftermath of that, and there were a lot of points in this movie where I was like, I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but I didn't know. I didn't know if I could chalk that up to I've been awake for a long time.
It really is two different movies.
It is several different movies.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's all in the same universe. It all feels like it has the same vibe.
There's a coherence in the overall tone, but you could easily make a cop film and a heist film, two separate movies, easily out of this one film, and be fine as a plot point.
There are almost too many characters in this movie. It kind of feels like...
Well, for a little while.
Well, they start dropping like flies after a while. Then it starts getting a little better. Like, I did enjoy this movie, but, like, then it does get a little better, because at least I can only focus on half a dozen characters. You're asking me to pay attention to too much, movie. I need to go to sleep. It sort of feels like... I'm not saying that's the case with this movie, but what it feels like is when when something is developed as maybe like a television series, but it doesn't get picked up, but the person still wants to make it into a movie and then condenses it into... This is sort of like if...
You know, it's like that first section of 24 when they do the 4 episodes all at once.
Yeah.
But they try and pack it into like an hour and a half instead of doing like 4 hours.
Yeah, because they make you wait like 9 months or however long between seasons.
Right.
Or it's like if like The Shield didn't get picked up to series, but the creators still wanted to do something like The Shield.
Okay. Yeah,
so he made this.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of setup with these characters. The only setup you're given is that the actors have played similar parts in other movies.
Pretty much.
Aaron Paul is straight up Jesse Pinkman in this movie.
Yeah.
he is Jesse Pinkman.
Junkie, yeah.
Clifton Collins is well-dressed guy named Rodriguez. Like, I've seen him play this type of role before. Norman Reedus is redneck guy who's got a brother who's also in crime. Chiwetel Ejiofor is being tense as shit and and pretty awesome. Anthony Mackie's doing a lot of acting with his eyes and shit and being kind of bad at. Like I've seen these actors.
He's like Dirty Falcon.
Yeah, Dirty Falcon, exactly.
He's given a Dirty Falcon. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, and so it's like that's the backstory we're given. The fact that like these actors are kind of like taking on a typecast role.
Yeah, and I mean even like the most well-developed character, like in the first little bits, is Casey Affleck, and he's not even that well developed. It's just more like, oh, he came from this precinct. He's now he's partnering with you. He's got a wife. He's nephew to the chief or the high-ranking detective.
Well, that's another thing too. Yeah, the first time we see Woody Harrelson, he's smoking a joint. Well,
that's all he does in this movie is smoke fucking joints.
Yeah.
Whether it's a new one or picking one out of the trash like a dirt bag or.
I've seen like Woody Harrelson like Rampart and things like that. I've seen Woody Harrelson play this kind of part too.
A drunkard, yeah.
Yeah. If you cross like his character in Rampart with True Detective.
That's exactly. As soon as I was watching this, I'm like, did he just transfer to Georgia? Is that?
It has, and oddly enough, it has some of the same problems as True Detective Season 2, in that there's way too many characters in it. But at least this movie's not fucking pretentious as shit and up its own ass like fucking Season 2 of True Detective was.
That was because of Season 1. They're like, ooh, look at this. Everybody liked this. Let's try and up the ante. No, just keep doing what you did that worked the first time. And
let's go back and watch Season 1 again.
Just show us more of Daddario's boobage. Those were fantastic. That was unexpected, and boy, was it enjoyable.
It was worth the subscription to HBO.
Subscription? Fucking torch that shit.
But then you paid for a subscription because the boobs were that nice, you just wanted to be polite.
Well, between that and Game of Thrones, yeah. It's
Game of Thrones. You subscribe for the one season that Game of Thrones decides not to have nudity to bring in a younger audience.
Don't ever do that.
Casey Affleck's character is if there's a well-developed character in this, in that it doesn't seem like something I've seen him play before in several other movies. He does, especially in the last act of this movie, he is given most of the screen time.
That's because they've killed everybody.
Honestly, yeah, they've killed off most people by that point. Someone's got to continue.
At this point, it's more of a matter of who's going to survive to the end of the movie. So so that's what they're like. Oh, well, Casey's still alive. Let's focus on him. His partner's may not live.
I like that there's a section of this movie that's basically just let's try to kill Casey Affleck.
That's where the title, Triple Nine's Cop Down.
It's basically the plot. It's like you could easily like if you gave this movie the tone of like Pain and Gain, it could be a goofy ass comedy where they keep trying to kill this guy.
He just keeps avoiding it in weird, wily ways.
Yeah, you've already got Anthony Mackie in it. Let's dress him up as a ninja like in Pain and Gain. The plot is that... Okay, let me see if I can do this without my brain just totally fucking malfunctioning. At least a few of them are a group of dirty-ass cops. Some are currently cops, some are former cops. And...
Norman Reedus and Chiwetel were former special ops.
And Aaron Paul's a former cop.
And Aaron Paul's a former cop who's Norman Reedus' brother. So Chiwetel and Norman Reedus are ex-special forces, mercenary squad, like Blackwater, that kind of group. They got into trouble with some like weapons. They had like a weapons charge against them with this other guy, Vasily, who is Kate Winslet's husband. Well, he's in jail in Russia.
Yeah.
Or somewhere.
Because she's Russian.
Yeah. So, Chiwetel is the husband or boyfriend of Kate Winslet's sister, has a kid with her. So that's how they hook him. They basically... They're going to pay him, but they also kind of blackmail him.
Yeah.
With using his kid against him.
But he's already like fucking crooked as shit.
Oh yeah,
like,
he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
It's not like those charges against them were fake or anything. They were fucking real. They just had all the witnesses killed, so it didn't stick.
This is all stuff that's introduced to the movie as if I'm kind of supposed to know what's already going on.
Oh yeah, it's like halfway into the film before they even say anything about any of this other, like the weapons charge, the ex-special forces stuff. They mentioned that these guys are special forces and they're a tactical unit, but they don't explain, aside from his kid and wife, I guess, or girlfriend, they don't really explain these other ties. They don't really explain that they were tied to this Vasily guy when they were over in Iraq.
It seems like there's a lot of stuff that probably is explained on the cutting room floor, because there are there's things in this movie. There's exposition that's provided in this movie by characters who have never been in the movie before this happens. Like Aaron Paul's girlfriend, who gives them much needed information at the right moment, and she has never been in the movie prior to this. At the end, there is a key piece of information given to Casey Affleck just kind of at random at the right fucking moment when he gets a call that says like, oh, by the way, it's this guy. Click.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's fucking convenient. There's a lot of that in the movie. There's a lot of just people showing up to tell each other the right thing at the right moment, and it really seemed like this movie was fucking with me and taking advantage of the fact that I'm really tired.
So, but no, it really wasn't. There was not... They traded exposition for grit and action sequences,
which are solid, and honestly,
they're
worth recommending the movie, because like there are some solid fucking shootouts in this. The movie is very well made. It's very tense. It's a taut little thriller. It's not on par with something like Sicario or anything like that.
No. Not like... It's not a award film.
No. It's not. It's a good film to go see if you just really kind of dig this kind of movie, and you'll probably get entertainment out of it, regardless of it not being the best of its kind. But it's like, yeah, I'm enjoying myself watching this. I mean, this movie's hitting a lot of sweet spots of mine. I like movies like this.
Yeah, you throw in some heat.
Yeah.
A little bit of Training Day.
Training Day, definitely.
Yeah, especially the scenes where they're trying to kill Casey Affleck's character, and it's basically a Mexican gang lord that they try and hire to do it. And it's just kind of like new cop versus on the streets black cop, kind of give him the ropes, trying to talk him,
I've seen that scene before on Tequila and Benetti, Oh, like instead of Anthony Mackie, it was a French Mastiff.
Fucking dog. Fucking dog. Seriously. Oh, you bastard.
Oh, shit.
I hate you right now.
In the black hole again, like when we reviewed Laser Camp. Or not Laser Camp. Fucking...
It's all
Oh, yeah, movie Dance Team and Laser Camp.
Dance Team and Laser Camp.
Fuck.
Laser Camp Dance Team, go.
By the Dance Team, by that video group, Channel Awesomeness TV. Rooster.
Rooster Awesomeness. That's what it is. Awesome Rooster. There you go. Awesome Rooster.
Like, it feels like, you know, like how in the early 90s when there would be like a gritty action movie and it didn't matter what time of year it would be in, it just always seemed like it was 100+ degrees outside. Like something like, like Falling Down. Which was it did involve a heat wave, but like...
well, that's true.
Something like that where like... If Tony Scott was directing a movie and everyone's just really sweaty.
He's like, I need more heat. I need heat rising more, give me more.
There's a lot of that in this. There's scenes where, like, you just have to figure every other room in this universe is lit with this blood red light bulb. And it's cool. Like, it's a well-shot movie. It does add to the level of intent. I don't know why some of these scenes have red light bulbs, but I get it.
That, and then every other room is like a sauna.
Yeah.
So you're just like, fuck, it's so hot in here.
With a soundtrack that's very much like in the opening credits where they're doing the robbery, and it's playing like the first Terminator style like synthesizer.
Yeah.
I was digging that. Hell, even the fact that it had an opening credit sequence, I was digging.
And that was throughout the whole movie too. I mean, like
it really
was very tense, kind of short, short bursts of background music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was something else.
And a lot of bullets to the head.
Yeah, what the fuck?
People get shot in the head in this movie and they're still alive.
Well, mostly anyway. They're still breathing. Except that one guy who had smoke coming out of his mouth. He was dead. that was
kind of cool.
I was like, yeah, that would happen.
The guy had a golden gun. One of those scenes where they keep trying to kill Casey Affleck.
And he wasn't Scaramanga either.
Yeah, right? I guarantee you in that fucking group there was a Scaramanga in there. It's fucking tattooed and shit. They're what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a 999, which is they want to find a cop to kill. So it puts the 999 code out there, which will cause this the idea is that it'll cause this pandemonium that gives them enough opportunity to steal what looks like these floppy disks to give.
That's exactly what they fucking were. Fucking floppy disks.
I feel like
who the fuck still has a computer that's gonna play floppy disks? So that like I mean, I guess they're Russian. They may have all this fucking shit. But I'm like, seriously, who fucking digitize your fucking files already? God damn it! Thumb drive. A fucking thumb drive can fit all that shit in one little thumb drive. You don't need 30 fucking floppy disks in a little box.
I had to think about it for a sec. I was like, is this taking place in the 90s?
I don't think so.
I don't think,
No.
I didn't think so either. Like, no, because they're doing a bunch of shit with their phone and shit.
Oh, yeah. No, there are smartphones and everything in it. So, it's a present time movie.
It wouldn't surprise me if the 90s is when this was written.
Yeah, this is true. Somebody probably saw Heat and was like, I can fucking do this.
I don't know why they had to jump right away to like, we need to kill a cop to create this. Like, I think just like
no other solution.
Yeah, it's like you have so many fucking explosives on you. Like, you blew off that guy's foot in that one scene.
Clifton Collins just wants to fucking shoot a cop. That's what this whole thing's about. It's just like, there's some fucking guys I hate on the force. Can I just shoot them?
I was making fun of my ponytail and my purple suits.
That's my swank suit. Don't you make fun of my swank suit.
Yeah, that's why Woody Harrelson just knows he's corrupt. Look at him.
Look at that fucking suit.
You're
he looks
corrupt.
like fucking Big Boss.
Yeah. You're on the take. Like I think the same kind of distraction could be caused if they just set off just a bomb somewhere, like not even hurting anybody, just somewhere.
Somewhere far away from where they're going.
And... But, I mean, that's what you'd probably have to do in Grand Theft Auto, especially 5. A lot of the action scenes, hell, the opening action sequence is like the opening scene from Grand Theft Auto 5, except without snow all over the place.
Right, and they're not in fucking the Midwest, they're in Georgia, so that's...
I kept having to remind myself that this was taking place in Atlanta, because like... Every movie you see like this usually takes place in LA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm surprised they didn't pretend like it was, because I know there's a lot of films anymore that are using Georgia's giving them generous incentives.
That's why you see a lot of low-budget movies in, like, Louisiana. Too.
Right. But usually, a lot of them that I've seen, they don't set them in Georgia, or they try and mask the fact that they're in Georgia. This one does not. This one's like, we're in Georgia.
No, it's Georgia.
We're Atlanta. This is ATL.
If it wasn't showing the skyline so much, you could have fooled me into saying that this is outside of Los Angeles.
Right.
Oh, we're in San Bernardino. All right.
Right. Mexican gang shirt, check.
I'm tired enough to believe this. Sure. If I blink my eyes fast enough, it's Long Beach. There's the Queen Mary right over there.
Oh, shit.
I went back to see the Queen. When I lived out in Long Beach, I lived just not far from a lot of... I didn't realize until I went back there a few months ago when I was out there for that talk show thing, and there was, I didn't realize that when I lived there before, I lived like a block down from the Dexter house.
Seriously?
I did, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I went back and just visited the old house that I lived in out there, or apartment, and my mom was like, "Oh, you want to go see the Dexter house?" And I'm like, "That's here?
What?
Are we in Miami?"
Yeah, right?
No, like, it was, just a block down. Like, I lived out there in 2004, so I did... If Dexter was that on in 2000? In 2004? I mean, if it was, I wasn't watching it.
No, it was a few years. I think it was like 2006, 2007. It was...
It went 8 seasons, and it
was right before...
It ended in like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
2013.
So I feel like it was 2005, 2006. But it's probably 2006.
I started watching that when it was like 3 episodes in. I think the third season, the Jimmy Smith season, I think was just starting. So I'm like, oh well, I'm gonna come back here and find out that I live in Gacy's old house when he used to live in Springfield. I always wondered where that was.
Well, I mean, got an ample basement right now.
I do. I'm in good company. He was voted Citizen of the Year one time.
Yeah, we're not always that bright.
Hey, come on. We got Lincoln. We're allowed to fuck up somewhere along the line.
That
Gacy.
giving Cobra Commander the key to the city. Fucking
That
idiots.
just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's not Joseph Gordon-Levitt at all. Would you recommend the movie?
He was fun. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know that I would pay. This would be maybe a more matinee thing, or if you're into this type of movie. It's very disjointed. That they're basically just trying to free this Vasily guy. That's the whole reason they're trying to do these robberies. So it's one overall plot point, but a bunch of diverging character. I don't know.
It's the kind of movie that I can tell which of us in our group would like it and which would like. you and me, if I had seen this without you here, I'd be like, oh, you'd probably have the same feel. I have a feeling Brian would think the same thing as us, and I have a feeling Sarah would not like this.
No, not at all.
I really don't, I don't think she would. Violet might, but like, yeah, it's, if you're like me and you do like kind of going to see the more gritty movies that come out, since they are kind of far few in between, I would say it's worth a matinee. It's worth a matinee.
It's a nice change of pace, especially since I've been trying to watch all the like Oscar films.
Yeah.
And catch up on those. So then to come tonight and watch this, I'm like, okay, little palate cleanser.
It's entertaining. Yeah.
Now I get to go home and watch sad shit again. And
you're right.
It's like, God damn it.
If it doesn't look like, if you see the trailer and it doesn't look like your cup of tea, wait for it to come on video and rent it.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. It's entertaining. It is. It's not. I can think of many other movies that you could probably just stay home and watch. Oh, just chill out at home and watch like Port of Call New Orleans or something. Like,
watch half of Heat and then the end of half of Training Day, and there you go. If you don't really want to see this movie,
pop in LA Takedown or something.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, it's like the other. It held my attention considering how tired I am.
No,
and I wasn't at Gods of Egypt. I'm at that tomorrow. I'm at Gods of Egypt.
That's gonna be fun.
That's an over 2-hour movie.
No. What? No.
Disappoint. Sarah called dibs on that one though, so I think she's banking on it being this year's Jupiter Ascending. She might be right. It could be entertaining.
I don't think it's that fucking highbrow, to be honest.
Honestly, that's a good point.
The Wachowskis aren't directing that, so they don't try. Oh, fucking shit.
That's a good point. That's like Jupiter Ascending is like when you're playing like a terrible video game that's at least put out by a good company and they just kind of fucked up this time.
Yeah.
Gods of Egypt is like, well, what did I expect out of the people who made this shitty game?
Gerard Butler and Brownface. Yep, gotta love it.
I'm sad too because I love Alex Proyas between The Crow and Dark City. The fuck is this Gods of Egypt shit? Man,
that's.
Well, I'm judging it too soon. I haven't seen it. Maybe it'll be really good. I'll find out tomorrow.